Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the GG.Bet Invitational. We're getting things kicked off today. We got 8 teams representing the CIS and European region going to be competing for that $50,000 prize pool. It should be a fun event here. I'm looking forward to this. I'm BreakyCPK, joined by GoDz, of course. How's it going, man?
Doing good, doing good. Looking forward to, seeing what these teams have in store. Playing an online event, but a lot of big tournaments coming up, majors, minors, all that stuff. So should be a good test for how good some of these teams are right now.
It is interesting, right, how this is an online-only event. We don't have a lot of these nowadays. I mean, they do happen occasionally, but usually they are left for the Tier 2, Tier 3 teams, whatever you want to call it. But, in this event, as we're pointing out, in fact, this matchup right here, we have NIP, arguably one of the better teams right now after the reshuffle, at least in my opinion, going up against Odium here, who, on the opposite side of the spectrum, they're going through some issues, to say the least. So we'll see how they do. But there's plenty of teams in this, 8 teams in total. We're also looking at, we got Alliance in here. We got Team Spirit, Espada, Furzy, who qualified for the major, of course, Team Lithium, and then Eeriness is a team out of the Czech that qualified via the Open qualifiers.
Yeah, so 3 of these teams will be seeing at the major, and then there's some other promising looking teams who have done well at different times. Team Spirit's new roster looked pretty good. Espada have had moments where they've looked pretty strong as well. Lithium, they beat Liquid during the major qualifiers. So it feels like there's a clear expectation for NIP and I think Alliance to do well and be at the top, but there's also a lot of parity with all of this kind of tier 1.5 European scene. It's kind of yet to be established, like who's going to be the kind of consistent strong force in the region.
It's early on, man, and we're just getting things kicked off this season. That kind of goes back to my point as well. Here we are, online tournament. These teams are playing it because, frankly, $50,000 first off is a nice chunk of money there. And by the end of the week, we'll find out our champion, and that breaks down and everything. But it's good practice. It's a new season. These rosters are different as we're going over. A good way to get some more experience on the table. A team like NIP, they haven't played since the major qualifiers. Yes, they qualify, but that was almost, a couple of weeks ago now, if that. So
yeah, and it's very different playing official matches to scrims, even when they're online. Yeah. It's just there's something at stake. Viewers are watching, your fans are watching. It's no longer a time to experiment and try stuff out and learn. I mean, you will always be doing that, even in playing a TI. There is a level of you're learning from every match. Maybe there is an experimental pick, but you're not experimenting for the sake of experimenting. You always you're playing to win. You're playing to take home that prize money. It's kind of your chance to prove all you've learned from your scrims and apply it in game.
Yeah, take a look right here on your screen. We got some sweet graphics to work with. We got, of course, NIP. Now, the jerseys suggest otherwise. Some old pictures. They're still working on getting those new pictures there. But Fata, Ace, PPD, 3-3, and Soxa, of course. This roster, as far as all the roster shuffles that went down, I mean, a couple of things. First off, PPD going to Europe, which, of course, was a shocker to a lot of people. But him at the lead, Ace, Fata, great chorus. Fata going back to the mid-roll, which is what he has history with, of course, after the offlane role last year for Secret. Personally, I'm expecting a lot out of this team, out of the European region.
Yeah, they look like a strong force. They look like a contender, not just in their region, but internationally. They've got one of the best captains in PPD, and they've got some great talent in all their core roles. One of the big questions for me is, kind of who's going to step up and be that superstar player. I feel like that's normally an ingredient that you look at most teams, and you can point at one guy or even 2 guys, and you're like, yeah, these are the guys that are going to carry you. To me, this team has really strong players in all core roles, but I'm like, who is actually the superstar they want to play around? I think Ace can be that. Fad in the past has normally been that more stable mid player who's not been super Sumail-less flashy. He's been more kind of consistent, which worked when he was on Team Liquid. They were one of the most dominant teams when he was playing mid lane, playing his stable mids when it was like him and Matu. So I'm kind of, I guess that to me is maybe going to be one of the obstacles they have to overcome, is whether they're going to try to turn Ace into that superstar, whether Fat is going to try to play that style.
Or 3-3.
Yeah, 3-3. I think you can do it from the offlane. Yeah. Mineski did that with Ice.
Absolutely.
He was playing that style. So it's definitely doable. And you can also win games from pure team performances, strategy, outdraft. So it's not like, they don't have a superstar player. These guys are all top 50 MMR rank on the leaderboard and all that. So, they're obviously fantastic players who will win games, even if they're not known to be like Miracle or Sumail or No One or Ramses, whatever.
Yeah. Looks like we are just about ready to go, by the way. We've been waiting. We're just waiting on one more player. He has joined, so we should be getting things kicked off with game number 1. Now, also something to address here. We were supposed to have 2 matches today, unfortunately. The first match had to get postponed. It was going to be between Team Spirit and Lithium. Best of 3 there. However, Team Spirit was finishing another series. It was starting to overlap at the time. They decided to postpone it. That'll be taking place tomorrow instead. So... but we'll still get it played. Again, what we're looking at are some group stage matches. I'll have a graphic for you in a minute. But this is going to be from Group A. It's the GSL format, the mini double elimination, however you want to call it. So these are the opening matches here. Ultimately, 2 teams from each group will move on into a playoff bracket, single elimination, straight to the point. So a simple format. Gets to the point, but again, for an online tournament, $50,000 prize pool, I like it.
Yeah, and you don't, as a team, you don't have to play too many crazy amount of matches. Every match you're playing matters for something. You're not playing these fluff matches where it's like, well, it's just another group stage game that if we win or lose, we can still advance, or whatever it may be. So it'll be great to see how these teams have prepared and just who's going to come out on top. This is Group A, where NIP kind of mentioned them being favorites. I think second place is kind of unclear. It feels very open to any of these other 3 teams.
Lithium and Spirit, yes. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what to expect with Odium, because here they are. This is a team, yes, the roster shuffle happens, and this is one of these teams, though, that they've been making changes frequently. In fact, just yesterday you were talking about Gostic, who was their off-lane player. We don't know if he was kicked or if he just left the team. He no longer is part of the team. Formerly, they had a couple players on the roster that are no longer part. V-Tune at the carry, and then General, obviously a big name there, that they left a week ago or so themselves. So they're still trying to figure out who they are, I think is a good way to put it as far as Odium's concerned.
Yeah, it looks like they've got Flo standing in, who is the Vega Squadron offlaner for a little while.
Okay.
He's the player who actually got cancer and was supported by the community. I think they raised a bunch of money for him to help him undergo treatment. He's still playing professional Dota.
Obviously,
Great to see him standing in, at least healthy enough to be playing Dota. So
hopefully that's going well. I don't know the updates on that, but again, he's playing Dota, so you do think that would mean feeling at least good for the time being, and definitely wish the best there, of course. Yep. That's a cool story right there. Fata has joined back in once again, so again, we should be good to go. Let's take a look at Group B real quickly as well. Again, coverage for that not going to start for a couple days here, but later in the week, these are the other 4 teams. Furzy versus Espada, and then Eeriness versus Alliance. So a couple of storylines there. Eeriness, again, the open qualifier team out of the Czech, going up against is Alliance back, man? I mean, this is I know we say that a lot, but this team's looking good. They qualified for the major. They just qualified for ESL a couple of days ago. They're looking pretty good.
They're looking very solid. It's kind of going to be their first big test playing an international LAN. It's like they've been grinding their way through Europe, getting some results, qualified for a major now. They've been close to qualifying for some other big events in the past, different LANs. TI, they did okay during the qualifiers, but they're one of the few teams who stuck together. They kept their roster, and they're playing with the same team, so great to see them in this tournament as well.
Yeah, I look forward to them. I have a lot of history with those players on that team, as I like to bring up, of course, coming back from the Han days. So I'm excited for the future of players like Insania, Boxy, Mickey, and STST, or now known as Taiga, specifically right there. You throw in Quigfo in the mix. I'm glad to see them having success, and I expect a lot out of them moving forward now, as honestly a lot of people should. It's a team that definitely is coming together nicely. So again, we'll see them later on in the week. But here we go. The GG.Bet Invitational officially kicking off here. NIP versus Odium today. Best of 3. This is our only series today, unfortunately, because of the postponement, but looking forward to a fun one. Again, NIP, the favorite, I think is safe to say, but Odium with this new roster, maybe coming in this a little bit like, we don't have much to lose. Let's have fun with it. You never know what can happen with a mentality like that, right?
Yeah, a controversial guy gets involved in a lot of Twitter wars and all that, but he is a competitor. That is, I think, at the core of his being is he is so competitive that it drives him, to make some of those polarizing statements, because winning matters so much to this guy. He's obviously got a certain amount of pride that he wants to live up to, the expectations of himself, his fans. So this guy's not going to be, just because he's playing with Standard and all that, he's going to be trying hard to win. He wants to prove to everyone that, he could beat a team like NIP.
Yeah. The opening here, not really anything out of the ordinary necessarily. I do notice the bans, though, in Odium, to reference that real quickly. Broodmother and Drow being banned out, of course, considered these, quote, cheesy heroes. I haven't seen a lot more of even these Brood initial bans, though. And that's crazy to think, because you think Brood, well, there's heroes to quote-unquote counter her, but we've also seen those counters come up and still not work against her.
5
So
seconds
Yeah,
remaining.
and it feels like one of those heroes when there's an incredibly good player in the hero, like 33,
Yeah.
like Ramses. They can first pick it, and you can have all the counters in the world, but they'll still find a way to make it work because they're so good. They understand how to beat the counter picks. And I think Drow is actually a hero that NIP during the major qualifiers
Radiant
Oh, yeah.
team
were abusing it.
ban.
I say abusing; they were just first picking it, and no one could beat it. It's the same thing
Team
where
ban.
everyone knows this Drow first pick is going to coming and what it's going to do, but you still can't beat it just because they understand how their timings work. They beat two Liquid with like 2 20-minute games with this hero. That was
Yeah.
Liquid not playing their best, but end of the day, it's still Liquid. And when Secret went up against NIP after that, they just banned Drow. They're like, we're not giving you this
exactly,
hero.
yeah. Just a hero. If a team's comfortable with it, even at the first pick
10
spot,
seconds
you just want to
remaining.
take it initially. So understandable. That does leave some heroes open, of course, that are
5
considered pretty
seconds
powerful right now,
remaining.
such as that Weaver
yeah.
first pick for NIP. Not surprised to see that. And the Tiny Phoenix response and now an Undying, specifically
Radiant
a PPD
team
specialty
ban.
Oh, yeah.
as of late.
Undying's been super strong too. He's kind of become a first ban material. I think it's because they felt like they had to ban some of these Drow and Broods that heroes like Undying, Weaver are actually slipping through because most games I've been casting in these regions, those are heroes that are being banned. Tiny, similar thing, but we get some
Dire
different
team
stuff
ban.
here with the new meta of bans. Even the Ogre being banned out is something a bit new and different. That's, normally being ignored or picked up later on. So as of right now, it's looking like pretty good team fight specialists out of the support role on both sides with the Undying Tomb, the Phoenix with the Supernova. No obvious ways to protect the Supernova right now, but that's something Odium can draft
10
into,
seconds
of course.
remaining.
Mm-hmm.
They're banning out the Mirana to protect the Agabit as well.
5 seconds
Troll's another hero
remaining.
that comes to mind, potentially. Phantom Lancer,
Yep.
which of course was banned by NIP themselves. Yeah, Undying and Phoenix are kind of similar in that aspect, aren't they? Where Undying with the Tombstone, Phoenix with the... They bring that ability where it's like, even though they're a support, you have to focus that ability when it comes to a team
Dire
fight.
team
So
pick.
you can say that that's the big
Radiant
value of these
team
heroes, of
pick.
course. Ooh, Centaur third pick after they banned the Ursa, speaking of the Phoenix counter against the Supernova. But Centaur's an off lane. I feel like we see some teams liking this hero in the off lane. Others, they just completely ignore it.
Yeah, he's definitely on the rise, but there's still a lot of teams who are just like, we're not about that Centaur. The Stampede works pretty nicely against the Undying because when that
10
Tombstone's down, it
seconds
helps.
remaining.
If you want to just Stampede away and disengage, you can. If you want to Stampede to get to the tomb, you can
5
because
seconds
the zombies
remaining.
with all their slows can be pretty annoying and pesky at times. So we'll see if that's kind of one way of somewhat pseudo dealing with it. But all in all, it's just a good stable offlaner right now
Yeah.
for the teams and players that are used to playing with the hero.
Third pick for NIP, something to go along with the Weaver, perhaps. Weaver's also a nice hero at first pick because we see plenty of offlane Weavers. Of course, the safe lane Weaver also very popular, and the occasional support if that's just how you want to mix it in the end. But so far, I don't think there's a reason why Weaver would be a bad core position here. What they're up against.
Yeah, no reason to, I think, rush it into a support. It hasn't been hard countered by anything in particular. If anything, you're looking at that Weaver with his ability to kill Phoenix's egg and thinking, okay, some farm on him isn't too bad. There's some bursts. Like heroes like Centaur and Tiny at least can threaten Weaver with their burst damage. When they get their blinks or Shadow Blade on Tiny, there is suddenly that high kill potential. As an IP, you'll get the Venge, so good synergy with the Weaver, the physical damage, great Roche taking potential. Particularly when you're on the Radiant side. Roche has kind of become slightly more Radiant favored these days. As opposed to in the past, just because of the location of where it is on the pit and where teams are generally playing. Radiant kind of takes over that top side of the map a lot.
Necrophos.
The Necrophos left open. Now, Pugna is still on the board as well. And we see a lot of the Pugna responses to Necrophos
Yep.
coming out.
Yeah, something Cap was talking to me about is how that it feels pretty tough to play Pugna into Centaur just because of the Stampede allowing everyone to get on top of him. And the burst damage potential of Double Edge.
10
so
seconds remaining.
it's not a hard counter by any means, but it does
5 seconds
give you
remaining.
ways of just dealing with Pugna a bit better than most of the time.
Yeah.
Dire team ban.
They're going to go for Warden now. Get something a bit spicier. There's the ace hero, I imagine.
Yeah.
He's always been a bit of an Arc Warden specialist. He's had those fun, cheesy heroes, or fun depending who you ask. Probably a lot of people out there who hate playing against Arc Warden, especially the old one, where it was just rat Dota the entire map with Divine
Oh, yeah.
Rapiers.
Playing against,
10
it's not
seconds
fun. I don't
remaining.
know if anyone would say it's fun to play against Dark Warden. That hero's
5 seconds
annoying as
remaining.
heck. I've been
Yeah,
noticing it. Go
he's
ahead.
better these days than he used to be. The old
Yeah.
Dark Warden was a lot more obnoxious, but they've done some tweaking and fine-tuning of his abilities to make them a bit more palatable.
I've been noticing a trend in Arc Warden players these last couple of weeks at least as well, where we'll see like brown boots into Necronomicon, the
Yeah.
level 1 Necro, and then you kind of build around that, but just rushing the Necro, of course, with the Tempest Double, great value out of it. That's kind of
Radiant
become
team ban.
what we're seeing Arc Warden players
And
do.
that's what Odium are kind of scared of. That's why they banned this Visage. That 33 is incredibly good on. Fata also plays it. It would have given them this scary 20-minute timing where they have like Necro 3 on Arc Warden and Visage with Familiars, with his Helm of the Dominator and a Pipe, and then they just go push. There are some alternatives to the Visage, but none are quite
10
as
seconds
scary at that
remaining.
20-minute timing. I think the Drow is a similar idea. The Visage.
5 seconds
As far as replacements,
remaining.
you're looking at maybe like Dragon Knight type heroes who just don't push anywhere near as fast.
Odium's lineup also curious in that is this going to be a tiny support?
It's
Because-
happened. Yeah.
Unless they're planning on final picking a support here, which always just feels a little bit underwhelming. Because you got 3 heroes that potentially, hell, all 4 of those heroes could potentially even be offlane. So it's like, what are they doing?
Yeah, and they definitely want to have a melee carry, which I guess Tiny fits the bill, because playing against the Arc Warden and the bubble, you can't go all in on this ranged DPS because Arc Warden will just sit in this bubble and you're doing no damage to him. So heroes like Ursa has traditionally been pretty effective against the Arc Warden. You get on top. Storm, similar idea, not melee, but can just fall in and just take away that evasion
Radiant
factor.
team pick.
Meepo ban. There you go. That's would have been a very good hero. Counters the Tombstone, being able to bring it down quickly. The Arc Warden, you get on top of him, and the Weaver with the Ensnare. So something I think NIP recognized this hero could cause us problems.
Yeah. You see the out of reserve time as well for NIP, so they go down to the wire. PPD.
Oh, maybe they actually random.
That's what I was
10
wondering.
seconds
Yeah.
remaining.
I don't know if it actually usually says random in chat because I pulled up chat, but
Huh.
it doesn't
5
say anything about it,
seconds
so I'm not
remaining.
100% sure. Either way, I mean,
Dire
pick
team
something here.
pick.
Jeez, going down the wire once again. Queen of Pain
Of pain.
is eventually what they'll settle for at NIP side. So it's going to be the Vengeful Undying supports you to guess the Weaver offlane, Arc Warden safe, and Quap mid.
Fata Quap, hero he's played in the past. Back of the mid lane. The more recent Dota viewers who haven't been around as long may just know him for his last year playing offlane for Secret,
10
but
seconds remaining.
historically Fata was much more of a mid specialist.
Yeah.
5 seconds remaining.
And now the question is, Odium, do they have a hero that they can match up against Queen of Pain comfortably in that mid lane? Or, again, are we going to see maybe that tiny support, even a Centaur support, I suppose, is possible?
Yeah, possible, unlikely. Tiny Centaur is a pretty scary lane with the toss into Centaur stuns. You give Centaur this ability to go for the Hood, the Vanguard, and not rush the Blink because you can toss him in, which is a pretty useful thing to have.
Kind of
So
a
I wanna
workaround, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say they might be going for that bit of synergy between these two heroes. Probably looking at some big damage output here. Doesn't have to be physical damage. It could be something more like Tinker Emberish, but at the same time, it may just be a bit safer to go for some kind of big, scary frontlining carry that can get right on top of Arc Warden, like the Troll Warlord you mentioned earlier.
Mobility does feel nice, because right now, Vengeful is the only hard stun on the side of NIP.
Yep.
And so something like that Ember Spirit actually kind of stuck with me when you mentioned the Ember there, and you could run it in safe, could run it in mid, whatever you want to. But that's standing out to me. Decent against Arc Warden, getting in that bubble like you mentioned. The Flame Guard will be nice this game as well.
Have the roots for the Quap and the Weaver that make life annoying. Could be Storm.
Okay.
The other
Choose your
spirit
hero.
that benefits from a lack of disables on the other team. So I think that's something Odium recognized. They're like, well, they're light on lockdown. They don't have good control. Let's take advantage. Let's pick something that you need control to deal with, or you have to itemize now. Quap has to go for a fast Orchid or a Hex. Alternatively, NIP, if you win the lanes and you crush and you're snowballing, it doesn't matter if you have no disables for Storm. You're just gonna control the map and out-farm him and push down towers. But if the game goes kind of on even footing, that's where this Storm pick suddenly looks really good.
So it is going to be a little tiny. So support tiny Phoenix combo. Centaur in the off lane. Not even that mid Storm Spirit and Oxane. Oxian? call him Ox.
Ox, yeah.
On the
We would have
Necrophos.
been going with Ox.
Playing in the safe lane, most likely. Over here. NIP doing as expected. The players in their roles coming into it. Yeah, excited to see the Fata Queen of Pain because, again, as you were mentioning earlier, going back to his mid roots and been a while through that last season. See him in the off lane, but back to the mid lane. How comfortable he's going to be once again. NIP getting 3-3 on a Weaver as well. Again, this hero in the off lane can still have that high impact that you're looking for. And Weaver can still even take over the game if you need him to. In this case, it's going to be about more making space as usual for the Arc Warden, though, and allowing him to do his thing come the late game.
Absolutely. We'll see, be curious to see what build we're going to get out of the Arc Warden, whether it is that more fast-paced build with the Necro books, or if we're going to see something a bit more late game oriented. Go straight into the carry items that scale better, like the Maelstrom, Hurricane Pikes, Shadow Blades, Orchid Nullifier type builds that give you that solo pick-off potential.
God, level 13 Arc
Prepare
Warden
for battle.
over here.
Level 15 Storm Spirit.
Yeah, level
on
15
the
Storm, yeah.
Dire side, but the Arc Warden's the less common one. You know, like
Yeah.
level 15 Storm. I feel like you've seen that before, but there's not many Arc Warden spammers out there.
No. He is comfortable with this hero. So, again, wondering if we're going to see that Necronomicon build. We got the lineup, I suppose. There's no reason why it wouldn't be good here against the Dire side. See if that does come out. Peter Pan Dam getting his hands on Undying, though, as expected. And 4 are down here for NIP right now to start things off. Going to at least get this bottom rune. Probably going to get both of them, as Flow will be spotted. But nothing going to happen from that.
Making sure they get the double runes, but just by scanning out the NFP heroes, that should allow Odium to get both top runes if they play aggressive themselves.
I think Weaver can get in there maybe with the
30 seconds to
Shikuchi.
battle.
Yeah, you might be able to steal one. You always got to be careful if you do get... If your Shikuchi ends in an awkward position, then suddenly you've lost your life. So, got to be careful how you use the Shikuchi. He's going for a little scout, though, up top. He wants to see if Odium are going to come and invade, or if he can actually take his bounty rune. Looks like NIP may actually get 3 bounty runes here. Odium not willing to contest up top.
I guess a Flow
battle
kind of poking in,
begins.
but no, he's not going to go for it. But yeah, how about that? NIP free 3 bounty runes. Not often you see a team just be that passive.
Felt a bit too easy. And
Yeah.
that's issue with just not getting the good scouting info, and Flo down bottom was, I think, a bit too scared to go. You know, he's on his own. He doesn't want to run into 3 or 4 heroes, but the end result is that by not scouting those 3 or 4 heroes, you're not setting your team up to succeed.
Ox saying, whoops, my bad. Something tells me they were discussing that mistake right there. But overall, you know, not the end of the world. Just the beginning of the game. 3-1 advantage sure helps, but still the landing phase now to go.
Yep.
And we see Weaver and Vengeful at the top. Talk about that minus armor. Some hard hitters up here, especially against Tiny.
Yeah, interesting they put Tiny in the safe lane, not the off lane dual lane. It's like Lil wanting to play with the Necrophos and not feeling like they want to send 2 melee heroes against an Undying. If they send Centaur and Tiny down there, it would just be easy decays for PPD. It already is going to be a less than ideal lane for Vega. Oh, Vega. Odium. I say Vega tag on Flow.
There's a former Vega player in here, yes.
Yeah. Less than
That'll
ideal
happen.
playing against the Undying.
Odium here on the Dire side. Flow's going to have to fall back, and Phoenix goes the other direction. So clearly PPD already a nuisance, as you're suggesting at that bottom. At the top lane, how about this this creep pull of sorts? Ox
Yep.
going to tank, but 3-3 is here to harass, and also happening down here. So both sides, interesting start here to laning.
Yeah, it starts with the Venge. He pulls it behind the tower, and this forces Necro to match it, because if you let the tower kill the wave, it's going to push out too fast. So I like what Weaver's doing, where he contests it, harasses a lot. And this is, I think, going to give NIP a bit of an edge in this top lane.
Creep pull down here. Slayer trying to get some with those fiery spirits. Might have stolen 1 or 2, but that mid matchup, we got in here, Queen of Pain versus the Storm Speeder. Right now, Storm 8-3, Queen of Pain 6-4. So Knight is winning it for the time being, a slight advantage in his favor.
Yep. Queen of Pain going for the 2 points in Shadow Strike. See how that build works out for him.
It seems like definitely the popular one. Maybe, I suppose, even against melee matchups here, you'd probably want that anyways. I mean, there's not every matchup, but strong against most. You know, getting that Shadow Strike up, letting it do its job just over time.
Yeah, it does slow down your points in fear, but the lane control it gives you, the second point just gives you such a big boost in the damage. So almost always worth it anytime you're versing a hero that doesn't have a way to dodge it. If you're versing like a puck, then yeah, you may not even get it at all.
True. We don't see that hero though right now.
No,
So
how about to say we bring up puck here.
don't need to worry about that matchup.
Bit of a stretch.
That's not happening.
But top lane for NIP. Those looks like Weaver used a lot of his regen up here, so suddenly lane actually starting to look a bit better for Odium.
Ace went pretty deep right there. Puts down the bubble though. You see Flo's gonna run inside. Ace still in trouble. Gonna be healed up with a rip and allow for the ultimate escape. And now maybe it's a turn. Spark Wraith applied. Flo taking some damage. PPD, he's hitting on Slayer though, and the decay to finish the job. He's got 12 stacks, so PPD a big boy right now. For 1,000 life to work with, hitting pretty hard. Flo's fine, but the first blood going the way of NIP.
Well, Flo TP to the tier 1, which is, I think, less than ideal here. If he had more health, that makes sense, so you can get out
Like
back
a
to
salve,
safety.
yeah.
Phoenix is going to TP in, bring some regen, but that's still kind of expensive. Probably would have been more efficient just to TP home and walk back to the lane. Because he's still in lane with no HP regen. Like this is not he's full health for now, but he needs more regen. Top, bit of aggression, some dives going on in the tower. 33 getting very low. He's going to be okay here, but is struggling to sustain himself.
Doesn't have the point in the Heartstopper aura. Would this be because of the matchup, you think? A double range matchup here for Necrophos that he's going up against, so not as much value out of it, I suppose?
Yeah, it's still value. I think it's also more the Ghost Shroud. You're against these two physical heroes, so you're just going to find ways to use Ghost Shroud to trade hits more efficiently with them.
Yeah.
So just using it to, start right-clicking them. They try and right-click you. You can destroy their attacks. You can heal yourself up. You can get more value out of your Magic Stick charges that you're getting from the Venge, who is quite heavily spamming Wave of Terror. There's actually 2 points in Wave of Terror. So I think all in all makes sense. Probably see him get that Heartstopper aura at level 4 instead. But none of this crazy 404 Necro builds. I've seen some Necros out there not getting Ghost Shroud till like level 10 or 11. I'm like, that's a bit too insane for my liking.
Let's try to make some changes here while we're in the pause.
Sure.
Got some pop-ups happening. So.
Oh yeah, you can also just go on offline on Steam too.
Oh, I could just do that. All right. Offline. There we go. Boom. All right, we're back to the action, as you can hear. Okay. I want to see what my friends are playing. Show off that information.
So Storm's already jungling. He's level 4. He just decides he can't lane against Queen of Pain. This is the beauty of the Shadow Strike build. Storm just doesn't have a lane now. Anytime he pushes past the river, Quap's going to Shadow Strike him and have easy access to getting kills.
Yeah, CS, I mean, again, taking into consideration he is doing that jungle, as pointed out, but still, overall, not doing too bad, considering. Making the best of it, but yeah, 17 denies on Queen of Pain.
Those denies add up a lot. The XP difference from them. You're stealing XP for yourself, taking away it, and that's a big problem. Bounty Rune's coming up, though, and they're going to fight over the top ones.
5-minute Bounty Runes. There's going to be a toss in. Weaver. Shuguchi in 2 more seconds. Should be able to use it at least to get away right here. Lil also getting low, but the Bounty Rune picked up by Odium, and it looks like it ends up being the 2-for-2 split. So, yeah, competing for it at the 5-minute spot, but ends up being the split in the end and no kills as a result.
Yeah, and Weaver just come back to lane and already is out of health. Has a shrine, at least. That's the good news, but did take a lot of damage for that.
Slayer getting out of that spot. Icarus time. Here's the thing with Phoenix, though, that always feels a little bit awkward is his abilities have such high cooldown. 36 seconds, 45 seconds on Fiery Spirits. It's one of these, rare heroes that his basic abilities, including his ultimate for that matter, are fairly large cooldowns.
Yeah, they feel like pseudo mini ultimates in a way. Using them, you have to be very careful. It's not like your Avenge and you throw a Wave of Terror, or even your Magic Missile. It's like, okay, we messed that initiation up, don't worry about it. Phoenix, it's not just initial. Whoop, ulti, nice kill.
Well played, yeah. Fontaine did the math and had just enough damage to finish the job on a Store Spirit.
Storm coming back in. He just got level 6. It looked like he thought he was going to hit 6 sooner. That's why he came into lane.
Structures are fortified.
Okay.
Dire's middle
See, low comes on. I don't know about this, though. Lil's only level 4. He's going to throw it an avalanche. He just wants a little bit of experience, but Fanta not going to make it easy, at least.
Imagine Fanta maybe falling back to Shrine anyways. It was an Invis Rune picked up by the Phoenix, so he's at least able to kind of track the movements going on here.
Setting up in a flank, but I don't know if they're really going to be able to kill Fanta unless have that burst to an avalanche, I suppose. But Lil's heading back towards the top lane, so not going to be happening, and Slayer will just camp on the backside for now. Okay, he's going to stay hidden. Well played there. Taking the perfect path at nighttime. Top lane. Necro's dead. They kill Vengeful in return, so 1 for 1, eye for an eye. 3-3 got the kill first on Lil. Also in trouble. That leftover Vengeful Spirit doing a little bit of damage, but not enough.
Yep, slightly better for NAP.
Dire's
Certainly,
middle
killing the
tower
core
is under
and
attack.
getting the kill first.
Close fine. So Arc Warden, what's his status? Have the Ring of Acula sitting on those brown boots as mentioned.
Yeah, what's the build going to be?
So when I mentioned the Necronaut, I believe we still see the Midas first.
Midas is becoming
Is it less popular now?
a bit less popular. It used to be like core item every single
Yeah.
game. And they kill Flow here. The Tempest double. They've got 2 points in Flux, so it should be a kill.
Stampede says otherwise, Flo.
Nice.
He's slowed down again. That Flux doing work, but it's going to be enough to get away for the time being. Decay. PPD running uphill 1 second has a Decay. I don't think it would be enough, though. Yeah, he does have 12 stacks on him. He gets away, however. So had to use the Stampede. Not the most ideal. At least he stays alive, though.
Yep. Yeah, but worth it in the end to stay alive, but yeah, not ideal. Back in mid, Naive getting jumped on. Will fall himself out of there.
Can't get that time. Not going to be able to catch up to him either, but Naive will be sent back, so it's one of those cases you don't get the kill, but you're still essentially going to do the same thing where he has to go back anyways.
Quad full of health, full mana, doesn't have to leave the lane.
Yeah.
Feels pretty good, I think, for Fata right now. He knows he's crushing this mid. Storm, it's like, you see Storm missing from the lane to jungle for a good 2-3 minutes. That's pretty much a sign that lane has been won.
Dire's middle tower
And mid
is
tower
under
is going to
attack.
be easily brought down here.
Oh, yeah. Very, very important tower
Dire's
kill,
middle
especially
tower
8.5
has
minutes into the
fallen.
game. That's that control of the map this early on that Odium's going to be lost without now. That they won't be able to take advantage of, both vision as well as being able to TP2. Look at Naive again. He has to already zap away, and he's just about a half life. He does have some bottle charges, but Fata is not afraid to play aggressive, nor should he be at this rate. But yeah, going back to Arc Warden, he is sitting on 1,500 gold, so I suppose we're going to find out soon. When he does decide to go, he's not queuing anything. Another Stampede used very defensively by Centaur, meanwhile. Again, he survives. That's a 90-second cooldown, though, that you usually want to use for team fights almost aggressively sometimes.
And we're seeing how the Stampede maybe later on can be at least applied as a defensive tool. Naive on the Storm. He's being Sonic Waved and chased down. Fata was just on the high ground, camping him. He just saw the Storm, he anticipated him coming to jungle since he can't lane, and was ready with an ultimate. He's level 10 to the Storm's level 8.
Yeah. Oh, the poor man's Blink Dagger. I love it. Mentioned the combination chance, and they executed it very well right there. Arc Warden had no clue. Great, rotating by Lil to set that all up in the first place, TPing in.
TP into some fog, and he's not done. He's found another one.
PPD has 8 charges of that Decay, though. It's a little tankier. Has the Magic Stick as well. 10 charges. Going to use them right there.
He has a
else?
Decay coming up.
3-man Decay. Oh, he's up to 16 now. 409 life. Avalanche is ready in the toss. I think he's dead still. Yeah. There's the toss, and there's the kill. Lil just walks it off knowing it was enough damage. So it ends up being 2 kills. That was a great rotation by Lil in the end. Something that Odium definitely needed.
Good little move. Helps his center who wasn't having the best time. It's still a 3-man commitment, so I think it's one of those scenarios where NIP happy that they're, winning these other lanes while that's going on. Although top lane not being won by any means. But Weaver has just a little bit of an easier time farming anytime the supports rotate out of his lane. Ace is immediately top lane. The second that happens, he knows that Tiny is TP bottom to make that play. He's just going to go top. It means if they want to respond to this Arc Warden going top, they have to bring in several heroes if they want to kill him or do anything about it.
We are going to see
Fata,
Ace go for the Anamitis. He buys the recipe. He's up here. He's going to buy the Global Haste with the side chop to finish it, so we'll get the value out of that bottom lane. Undying, only level 4, but again, this hero with those Decay stacks, he's going to throw down a Tombstone now, and Lil's in trouble as Fata comes in. Fata dominating on the network chart, by the way. This is only going to make it better. Stampede's not going to save them. At least Lil in that case. That's a 3-kill streak stopper. Only 235 gold, but it's even more gold for Fata that he'll take to get closer to the Orchid.
And just rushing it. Anytime you have a good start against heroes like Storm on a Quap, you're always going to go this Orchid. And this makes Storm's game very sad because Storm, he's going to rush a Yules himself to counter it, which is a cheaper item. You probably get later than the Orchid at this rate, but the issue is you've then rushed Yules on Storm. You really want your early game treads Kaya because that's where you can start being more active. You start getting some ganks going with some good runes, but the Yule Scepter just isn't quite as effective of a tool as a Kaya when it comes to mana efficiency.
While we're on the focus of items here, I'm noticing Flow on Centaur. Going to value the Vanguard first, perhaps to the eventual Crimson card, which does look pretty good against this Radiant side. But no Hooded Defiance means that double edge isn't going to be, as efficient for him. Yep. Storm is fine. The 3-3 going to put in some good damage at least. How about this build? Weaver going the Urn into a Spirit Vessel eventually.
Yeah, seems fine. Somebody has to get it, and your fourth position is a Venge who decides doesn't want to go for it. I imagine it was part. I think Weaver's actually a better Urn hero. Top lane, Reaper kill.
All right, base goes down. Yeah, that's a Reaper side. 45 seconds he's out for, and that's going to be some lost time on the Hand of Midas as well, which is pretty important.
Nice, slow down his farm. But yeah, the Urn on Weaver is really nice because he's the hero that will actually be playing aggressive and ganking and getting those charges. And then can use those Urn charges for those ganks. Ooh, deleted.
That was beautiful. Good execution. But Fudge was like, that was my friend, damn it, Lil. He just TP's though.
Yeah,
pretty
using
good
that Observer on the high ground. It does get dewarded, but
Radiant's middle tower is under
obviously
attack.
suffer several deaths because of it. So another kill onto the Orchid, who's now died twice this game. Who's definitely are the key kills to be getting at this point.
I think we are starting to witness a little bit more, though, as this game picks up. NIP, the weakness of this draft is the lack of crowd control. You see TP right there. Lil had nothing to be afraid of. Vengeful wasn't even remotely close, and as long as he's not nearby, it's a free TP for you, basically. So that's something that we're going to have to see addressed, whether that's Ace, getting a side, whatever that may be, down the line. Vengeful, Saksa, I don't know if he's on a warding mission or what, but yeah, it looks like this ward here.
He just put it down, but he got spotted planning it, so it should be dewarded. It's being circled. They know exactly where he just warded, so they'll get not just a kill, but they'll get a deward. At the same time, Venge may realize where the dire ward is, because he got bowled on from Fog, so it kind of reveals both sides' wards, if anything.
Arc Warden, despite those couple of deaths, even being out with the Hand of Midas inefficiency for a little bit, he's still second in net worth, which is just behind his teammate, again, Vata, who's continuing to dominate right now on the net worth chart. The Orchid, very, very close to being finished as well, and mentioned that with the Yields counter from Storm Spirit, it's going to be similar timing at this rate, but not the item he necessarily wanted to pick, but has to this game. See how he's able to do with it. But Lil is continuing to be aggressive with the team. He's kind of, making these calls, I'm sure, he'll smoke up and try to find some kills with the Centaur, the Tiny, the Phoenix.
It's decently farmed. He's actually more than halfway to a Blink Dagger, which is quite impressive, and that's going to give them some good ability to actually gank and make plays on the heroes like Weaver and Queen of Pain. Quap is very close to Orchid, but a little bit too scared to farm down here, and rightfully so. Fata has a lot of friends nearby.
Yeah. If he shows that poor man's Blink Dagger, as I like to call it, the toss into the Centaur, definitely could come. Now, it's not the quickest combination for a stun, so you figure Fata could react. In fact, there we go. Whoa!
Follows, yeah.
It went with him. How about that? All right, well, I guess that works. That's one way to do it.
Fata's problem was his reactions were too good.
Exactly. It was way too quick.
If he was a little bit slower, and he needs to blink away during the Centaur hoof stomp cast time, which is much harder to do, in fact, even though it requires slower reactions, but it requires like that perfect timing. Whereas he reacted the second the hero was spotted flying over his head.
He like saw the shadow in the air almost.
Yeah.
Blink. That's unfortunate timing for Fata there, but again, good execution from Odium, being as patient as they were, and they end up getting the biggest kill in the game on Queen of Pain. That's 430 gold going the way of Slayer. Not the target you necessarily wanted on, I suppose, but still. They'll take it. Veil finished on Necrophos. You mentioned that Blink Dagger for Tiny, 1,700 gold saved up. And also Centaur is going for it as well, and that's, as usual, kind of that tempo advancement. In this case, for Odium, you have a Storm Spirit with the Yules that'll be finished. It feels like in this next 2 to 3 minutes, that's a window for Odium to really get going.
Yeah, the Odium feels like they should be coming online and looking to do some things soon. Bottom lane, they're going to lose the Weaver. Yes, they do. The combo once again strikes, and very nicely done by Lil, who didn't have a toss play in the Centaur.
Oh, Oh, Scythe is not going to be enough for the kill, and if Soxet lives in the end as well, he will indeed die by going for the turn kills. Phoenix will already be turned. Lil doing the top, doing the avalanche. He wants to kill an Arc Warden at least. He knows he's going down. He wants that kill so badly. It's not going to happen. Sonic Wave takes him out before he really has a chance. So the big picture, a 2 for 2, I suppose. Fanta sneaking another kill, and Ace continues to farm. Yep, in the meantime.
Yeah, Ace is farming very well and going for this Midas Maelstrom build. It's the farming build that most people probably are familiar with on Arc Warden, and this is going to be very hard to beat if this game drags out, considering Storm is going for this very defensive build. Yeah. Storm does have Yules. Before the Quap Orchid, he sees his Orchid coming and he knows he kind of has to go for it. It's going to give him some answers, and pretty much the only thing he needs to defensively Yules is the Quap Orchid at this point, so you can almost always save it there and not get picked off.
Let's talk about Arc Warden again. Like we were mentioning before this game even started, the idea of that whole Necronomicon early on. Is there a reason why that build wouldn't have made sense to you this game, and why he's going this more, a little bit old school, even the Midas and the Maelstrom, you think?
It's a very kind of all-in mid-game push strat, and I think they decided the lineup they ended up with isn't going to push and end the game all that quickly, and they're going to be scary at late game. They have 3 good scaling cores. They don't have the best pushing power, so they're just having to play a slow game.
PPD puts the Tombstone down. There's that Stampede, though. Stampede is a great value tool this game for Odium. We're seeing multiple times here.
Yep, just seeing them use Stampede to run away from these ganks. It's like 3 or 4 Stampedes now being used defensively just to disengage.
Yeah, something maybe overlooked, but why they also liked that Centaur pick in the first place. Several lacking the stuns, but they do have a lot of slow. That's where Stampede definitely is the counter to, though.
Sure does have his blink up now, too, so Flo ready to go.
And Tiny's getting his.
Oh, nice. So Dire side Odium, we're going to have a lot of playmaking available to them with these 2 items.
Yeah, like I was saying, this seems like for this next like 5-6 minutes or so, especially, this is a window for Odium to really pull an advantage. So you have just barely 1,000 net worth lead. Try to build it up here. Maybe going to kill him 3-3 if he shows. No, he's going to play it safe.
Yeah, and it's a window where NIP just going to be avoiding fights and farming. Everyone is vulnerable to these blink daggers. No one has really got any good ways to stay alive and survive any kind of nuke combo.
I was going to say, where does Queen of Pain go next? It seems like that defensive tool of the BKB would make sense, and sure enough, Fata has that queued up at least, so a lineup on the other side where BKB is going to be a nice item to have.
Yeah, essential. Certainly.
There's the 3-3 kill. It felt like that inevitably was going to happen. Tiny and Tiny and Storm Spirit were down there for a while. Just simply waiting for their call, and 3-3 a little bit too much there as far as going for the creep wave.
Yeah, Odium starting to pick up some steam. They're just finding pickoff after pickoff. They've managed to get a bit of a gold lead all of a sudden. Their lineup is pretty decent and scary as far as scaling into the mid to late game goes as well. Necro's a big threat, hard to kill. Is going for a Yules as well, so wants to be able to get out of the Quap Orchid as well. This Quap Orchid's going to start not feeling all too scary, despite the early pickup.
He's going to use it on the Centaur here. Centaur has that Stampede once the Orchid wears off, though. In fact, doesn't even need it right now. Can use it offensively. They catch Fata. Nice swap by Soxa. Will be the sacrificial lamb as usual. Storm coming through, though, hitting all 4 heroes. I want to say Tombstone placement. That's a great Tombstone. However, this is going to be killed very quickly, so maybe not so great. And even Weaver gets pulled in for the kill. You see Phoenix diving away. Doesn't have a Supernova. Already used it, of course. This is able to TP out. Centaur was killed off. A 2 for 1 so far, favoring Odium at this point. It could get better. Peter Pan Dam, 24 charges of that decay, and it's going to allow them to finish off Tiny even as well. Naive keeping his distance. He'll eventually get out. So I suppose that ended, frankly, somewhat even.
Yeah, somewhat. Looks slightly Odium favored in gold exchange. Just getting some bigger kills, but neither team crushed that fight.
Dire's
and you see there, Necrophos just pops that Hood of Defiance. You're right, this Orchid pickup, are they still going? I mean, that's just the type of stuff. There you go.
It's just, normally you think an Orchid coming out this early on is going to be able to get a bunch of kills.
Yeah.
The end result is it's not. It doesn't make it a bad item because ultimately you typically want to have an Orchid later on, particularly once you get Nullifier. The two work very well in tandem for that just unescapable killing combo, unless you have like Aeon Disc type items. But yeah, it's being prioritized as an item that needs to be countered. And I guess that's the other upside is that, Storm has a Yule Scepter, which is not really an ideal item. So he has forced these builds out of the Odium heroes that they typically wouldn't want to go.
The less aggressive builds from the other side. That's a way to look
Radiant's
at it, perhaps.
top
But
tower is under
even with
attack.
that, though, they have heroes around
Radiant's
still.
top
So
tower
that's going to be a kill on the Courier with a point
Radiant's
booster picked up. Oh, no. It's a disaster so far for NIP. And it looks like it's getting worse. Vanta and Soxa both picked up. Peter Van Dam, he's going to be pulled back in. Very likely going to be killed off as well. Bubbles put down, trying to save the day. But that ain't happening. They take him out. They take out the Tombstone. Odium, we mentioned this kind of window here that they needed to turn on, and boy, did they. They have a 2,000 there with it. Again, not overwhelming, but that's a tower kill as well. You can feel them feeling pretty good about themselves. It's going to come down to this Arc Warden, as you would almost expect, though.
Yep. It's let's fall back on this guy at this point. If you're NIP, the mid game team fights and whatnot aren't really working all too well. Your Quap's starting to be dealt with. Quap can still get this BKB and have a very high impact on the game, so you don't have to really worry too much about her and being able to scale, but definitely a situation where they want to slow this game down.
He's in trouble. He did not realize Tiny was nearby. He's kind of toying a little bit with the Necrophos, and Lil's just a matter of time before he jumps again. That with the Reaper Scythe. Talk about a great counter to a hero like a Weaver. Doesn't give it. I don't even think we've seen him use time lapse this game. He just hasn't had the time to use it.
Yeah, he's just getting, anytime they go on him, it's because they know they can burst him. And Lil has been absolutely fantastic on this support Tiny. He's in 15 of these 16 kills. His involvement is everywhere. He was getting kill initiations before the blink came up with the toss initiations from the trees with avalanche combos. He has been the star player so far for Odium.
Look what he has queued up. Dig on.
That's a very Lil type approach to the game.
Why not, right?
Yeah, I could give you some reasons why
well,
not.
hell, you're already bursting. Let's get a little bit more burst, I suppose. Yeah, maybe you could argue for others, but
it's fine. The burst damage matters for being able to solo kill people, or even just when you go for these two-man ganks with Necro, it gives you some more damage to play around. The mana problems could be a slight issue. He has a Soul Ring to make up for it, but it still doesn't feel like he'll have a big enough mana pool necessarily.
Maybe address that after the fact, but at least one of that level 1 dig on doesn't look like he's going to level that out for the time being, of course. Middle tower, though, taken down by Odium. So once again, we look at the lead here. It's growing quite a bit back in Odium's favor ever since it went in their favor at around the 19-minute mark or so. And they experienced the same story. Win chance feeling pretty good for Odium right now.
They don't have any answers to Storm. That's a big problem right now.
Vengeful's dead.
Most definitely.
That goes back to my point earlier that, again, the lack of the crowd control, you address that through items ideally, as I don't know why I went away right there. Obviously he's dead.
They took a long time to
Yeah,
kill.
I thought he would have been dead by then, to be honest.
Lil started running away. I don't know.
Arcwood has a Mjolnir. He's going Shadow Blade, so where's the Scythe, right?
Yeah, he'll probably eventually get it. Next item, I would imagine, but
I suppose Queen of Pain could also pick that up maybe after the BKB, go the Scythe route.
yes.
It seems like that's going to be a very important tool this game.
Oh, certainly.
You could do a poor man's version of it, get the Rod of Atos.
I think you're more likely to go. You could consider the Nullifier because then you can Orchid with Nullifier and you can't Yule Scepter out of it. So I think it's either Nullifier or Hex.
Obviously, you saw the bounty rune spawning at the 25-minute mark, and we didn't catch it, unfortunately, but you noticed Lil picking off Weaver.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was a solo kill or not, but
dead again. It's been the story of 33's game. He's having a rough time. He's 1-5-3. Has got okay farm, but hasn't really been able to find any way to get involved. And even actually his farm has completely fallen off too. He's lower net worth than the 4th position Tiny, who does indeed have a Dagon.
Storm Spirit, he's going to be the first level 20 in the game himself. So
that is fast. 26 minutes in. He's on this level 20.
Considering he got not really wrecked, but he was down in the mid lane early on, so that's a great recovery for sure from Naive here. And he's building a Bloodstone even next. He has a Kaya, the Orchid, the Yields, of course, from the beginning. Bloodstone after the fact now.
Yeah, he's having a great time. Doesn't matter, he was, level 8 when Quap was level 10, and all of a sudden he's level 19 when Quap's level 17. So the tides have turned in his favor. Fada's had a good game, 6-2. Just much harder for him to find kills and have teammates to play around. Arc Warden and Weaver are both kind of farming cores. They're not looking to make plays with Fata, and as a result, it's been a lot more limited in what Fata can do.
Going in deep, Queen of Pain the target, and when that's your target, you definitely don't mind going a little deeper.
She BKB'd right before dying, yeah.
Oh no.
So initially she tried to go for the blink out, got caught with the pull, and couldn't BKB until right when the crowd control ended, which was too late. Because the right click still finished her off before a blink out could happen.
Arc Warden. We are going to start seeing this rack game though more and more now with that full Mjolnir, the bots of course, the Shadow Blade as mentioned queued up. Especially once he has that finished. That's going to prove to be the task for Odium in terms of now will they be able to answer that, the whole split push that he's constantly doing. And yeah, the lineup is built for that jump in a sense, so you'd figure that on paper they could, but it's definitely not that easy to execute either, especially in a good Arc Warden player like Ace is.
Yeah, he's going to make this game very frustrating for Odium, despite Odium knowing and feeling like they're going to have a lead and a lot of control. Another gank from Weaver.
This 3-3, he's sitting at his tier 2 tower, and Starspear just flies in and sets up the kill. Like, where does he go this game? It's ridiculous.
He's food in some ways for Odium. He has been food for a while. Just going to stampede to keep him safe, it looks like.
That was Tiny right there. A little bit of trouble against the Tempest double, but gets him away. Necrophos, does he have a Radiance finished?
He does.
He does.
Great.
Wow.
He's quite fun. Gonna be a helpful item against the Arc Warden with the mischance. Just make life difficult. Good farming tool.
And that's going to be a dig on level 2 also finished on Lil. So he is going to upgrade. Or did he pick it up? No, it's still on the courier. Whoops. Oh well. Okay.
There's even more Dagon levels queued up in his quick buy, so what can he find?
They were spotted, weren't they? I was going to say they're reacting like they spotted it, and there actually was a ward up there, so that makes sense.
They're going to smoke themselves.
Oh, they're engaging. Right in. PPD comes out, going to put another 2 on the uphill, but not necessarily where the fight is happening. However, Starspear pulls in the Weaver. Out comes the Reaper's Scythe, and it does eventually get the kill on a Weaver. He buys back immediately. They'll zip zap to get the kill on eventual. On top of that, in the back lines, Lil went a little too deep without his teammates, and they lose Phoenix, however. Double kill, excuse me, coming out. That's a triple kill even. Thought I heard that right for the Necrophos, but look at a triple kill for Ace in response. Flo, he's just going to simply TP out of the fight. That's a good response in the end from NIP. Fighting back.
That's fine for them. They're happy with the overall outcome. Did cost them a buyback, but they still get more gold out of that fight. And they're playing from behind, but the kills they got were pretty big ones. The Necro, the fairly fun, 4th position Tiny. They lose their Weaver, but this is also Weaver who's been struggling regardless. It's a pretty tough game for Weaver. This Accept is a very good item, but it's going to be hard for him to play against the Storm still because of the Orchid. And he doesn't have a way to save himself when he gets silenced.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's almost like he's going to just play a very pure support Weaver. He's just going to sit back and he'll save that time lapse for if his Arc Warden or Queen of Pain even perhaps need it. And some fights could see him playing that route instead, the way this game's going. But Slayer found there by Fata, but Fata's not going to dive necessarily too far unless Slayer tries to get that Batty Rune. Not going to happen though. He'll be fine. Yet another Yules, by the way, this time picked up on Phoenix, so that's 3 Yules on the Dire side.
Yeah, it's making it so that Quap isn't able to get any value out of this Orchid.
And a Lotus Orb on Centaur.
Yeah. Tiny doesn't have anything, but he's got Grow. He's got status resistance, so that Orchid only lasts roughly half the duration. Yeah. And Tiny has 2.4k health, so he should typically survive any kind of an Orchid play.
I was going to say, Tiny's like the last target you'd want to go for anyways, for the example you pointed out right there, status resistance alone, and it's a support Tiny, you know, it's not even a core Tiny.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Tiny's usually initiating from Fog with Blink Dagger using his combo, so his spells go on cooldown, and then what's the point of silencing him? If you can Orchid him when he blinks in, then sure, it makes a lot of sense.
That's a Tempest double. Sometimes you got to make sure.
It's 180 gold, and if you don't kill it, then it's going to annoy you, so it's worth just using some stun Avatos combos on them.
Oh yeah, you treat it like a hero in a lot of cases, so don't get me right, I understand that. Just the case to help push that tower in. And they're going to push the tier 2 mid as well. So this will be the last outer tower. Now, the push happening from NIP at the bottom lane while this is taking place. You see the bubble AKA magnetic field place to make it a little annoying as far as pushing. Tiny jumps in. That's where they're going in the swap immediately, though. As he was getting tossed, Peter Pan jumps in the middle again, puts up the tombstone. And Odium deciding to retreat in the end. They were thinking about it, but the Stampede to retreat. And the Phoenix A make it successful. Ace is chasing. That's a Tempest double, though.
Radiant's
Not
top
going to catch
tower
anyone.
is under attack.
Great retreat. Again, Stampede used very defensively this game, but it really is working. It's all about defense, it seems like, for Odium in a lot of ways. But the Yules and the Stampedes, but they're making it work.
I think a good execution on that push. It was kind of suddenly a tricky situation for them with NIP running in, the tombstone going down, so using the Stampede to get away from zombies is working out well for them until they kind of hit that late game critical mass, having an Ag Scepter on Centaur, having the Bloodstone on Storm, which he's now got, and starting to rack up some charges to make a big difference for them.
Fata respecting that burst that Odium has in the lockdown. He picks up an Aeon Disc in response for now on top of the BKB, so very defensive himself follow-up to the Orchid.
This guarantees you get BKB off is kind of the
Dire's
idea.
middle tower is under attack.
The issue with getting Blink stunned is that you don't get a chance to BKB, so if he gets Blink out of tossed, followed up by a Blink Centaur stun, he's just going to die before he can BKB. With Aeon Disc, you're always getting off your BKB unless they have a Scythe of Vice, for example.
Speaking of that, Arc Warden does eventually pick up the Scythe after the Shadow Blade.
Okay.
So, something that they have been lacking this whole game, the crowd control. They answer a bit right there.
Yeah, this is where the Yule Scepters will not help you. Like this pick up luck.
That's almost unfortunate that they had a Spark Wraith here because it actually spotted Centaur and that gave away to Centaur that they could see him. And so he ran the other direction, so they could have sneaked either way. Tiny, but there's Stampede. As soon as the Scythe comes out, the Stampede away. Flo will jump in, and so one knife in the back left, Peter Pan eventually going to be picked up. No, the time lapse. Actually saving it for the time being. Bot to the BKB committed, trying to kill that Supernova in time. They are going to barely be able to. That was a close call, felt like, but Phoenix goes down. Dead for 50. Tombstone is still up. Possibly going to be picked up here, though. Fata jumping back in. Tiny taking the Shadow Strike. Necrophos looked up in the air with the heals. Lil getting low, but so is Fata again. Another time lapse, though. So 3-3's doing a pretty good job with an Active Effect. Soul Rift on top of Vengeful. They're saving one another. However, the Reaper Scythe not going to be able to save him through that. But Naive popping the Shrine. Not much made it to work with, though. Heals in the air, only going to delay the inevitable. He just denies himself, and NIP. 3 are dead. They're going to push to tier 2. Really, for the first time this game, it feels like NIP wins a fight.
Yeah, it really was. And that was a big team fight, a very important one. Ace having the Hex making a nice difference there. They take the gem away from the Storm Spirit as well. So a big gold loss for Odium. The team fight recap doesn't show the change in gold because of the gem, but that's essentially an extra 1,800 gold swing, losing a gem and your opponent's gaining it.
Yeah. How about the double time lapse, man? 16-second cooldown and also being able to use it on teammates. That proved to be a fantastic pickup this game.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy Ags upgrade for the cooldown alone. It's one of those things where it's kind of OP, but it's okay because you're a Weaver, and it's playing Weaver as a non-carry is hard enough in itself. Like, it's a hero that doesn't do a whole lot with his other 3 spells if he doesn't have damage items or defensive item for himself. So he's going to be playing this kind of, utility sit-back kind of style, where he's not getting value out of Gemini, he's not getting that much value out of Shikuchi. Swarm is still useful in like a support Weaver type role, but it's not as powerful as otherwise would be. But yeah, I mean, you can see there, those time lapses save that fight. If not for time lapse, NIP get crushed there. Yeah,
it's like, oh, well, he saved he saved it on die. Is that really a big deal? I mean, it kind of is, because if anything, it forces Odium to make a decision. Well, do we really kind of get tunnel vision, try to get that kill still, or it kind of it screws up the flow of the fight, basically, no matter who you use it on.
Yeah, you're often going onto your next target, or already, either you're like, let's get this pick and back off, and then suddenly he's still alive, and you're like, oh, do we still go for this kill, or you have to adapt very quickly in these fights when time lapse is catching you by surprise.
Now, in Undying's case, at 15, you could argue maybe letting him die as the fight breaks out is probably a decent option, but he wasn't 15 yet. He's still not, in fact, as we see. Get in there, middle lane. That's going to be a swap kill. Necrophos, that's not going to be support nearly in time. He just melts. And another case of no buyback. I'm noticing that these last couple of kills coming out for NIP, Odium just doesn't have buybacks on their heroes.
Yeah, we're kind of at that stage where you should almost always be saving it, unless there's like a big game-changing item you can pick up. Necro looked like he was just a bit short. He bought, I guess, a Lotus Orb recently.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be a very easy Roshan for NIP, who, despite this gold deficit, are putting themselves in a great place to still win this game. They were down by like 10k gold. The win chance got down to, I think, like 25-30% for them, but kind of clawed their way back in by just outplaying.
Yeah, I mean, they've always had the Arc Warden factor, so never truly counted them out, but at the same time, as a team now, more than just the Arc Warden, they are looking pretty deadly. Almost out of nowhere, it feels like. So Odium, yes, they still have that net worth lead, but I would almost say I would rather be in NIP's shoes right now, despite being down 6,000 net worth in this game. So looking, you have the Arcane Rune activated by Fata there as they're pushing the tier 3 tower. Eventually going to fall back. Again, they have the Aegis though on Arc Warden, and he'll outpush the bottom lane. As well as being pressured.
They kind of got pulled back to have to go and defend, and also the Storm returning. They lost their creep wave, and Tiny had actually cut the wave coming from the base. So they had no creep wave really, and continuing that push would just not have really been an option for them. Which I think for NIP, you're in no rush. This Aegis still has plenty of time left on it. You can kind of slow things down, wait for some more pickoffs, and go from there.
You also have level 25 starting to make an appearance in the near future, so keeping an eye on that. Storm's going to be the first one at this rate, but both Arc Warden and naturally Weaver with that level 10 talent is up there as well, so.
Yeah, I think the big ones this game, Quop's Fear is a very important talent because it's a disable for Storm Spirit. You can blink into Fear. It gives you just another way of stunning and locking down all of these heroes.
The Tempest double again. It spots essentially what was almost an initiation chance from Odium, it felt like. They were moving as 5. So they wanted to jump in, but Tempest double kind of thwarts their plans a little bit. Daedalus now on Arc Warden, by the way. Holy crap.
Yeah, he's going to hit hard. Has the right-clicking talents for the most part too. Not the level 10 one, the cooldown reduction, but the cooldown reduction is kind of just flat out better, even though it's only 8%. See which level 25 he gets. The spark rate damage is so much that even if you're playing a right-click build, the 30% lifesteal is not always. It's not really. He's not in the battle with another right-click parry.
Oh, Lotus Orb Scythe Reflection right there. That could set something up. Arc Warden, in fact, going to be tossed in. Undying. He's going to be cut down by the Reaper's side. The Ace in the middle, but though he's going to be forced to fight. He does go down, but again, he had the Aegis anyway, so he's going to come back up. Sonic Wave from Fata, not really the greatest placement. Stampede activated from center. He has an Axe, so mitigating some damage for him and the team. But Flo, left in no man's land, will be picked off. So they got 2 supports on the side of Odium, but they lose a Centaur and a Phoenix themselves. I suppose they got the Aegis as well, but now here comes the tier 3 push at the top lane, and with an Arc Warden, that could drop quickly if you're not careful.
The second, though, the Glyph is used, they back off. They know Storm's going to have healed up, so he can bowl in and burst someone from full to very low almost instantly. Tiny's actually TP'd to Shrine here.
Oh, wow. Oh, they're going in. Storm flying in from nowhere right here, and actually enough burst damage to finish the job. The Dagon, level 3.
Heads up from Lil to just go for that big bowl. Yeah, I mean, we'll go blinking into a Shrine. He was kind of blind and just knew that he could go for it, but he may pay for it with his life.
Oh, Arc Warden. The Tempest double. Weaver's caught, though. Can he time that to time? No is the answer. So he was trying to finish the job, and they're not even going to get the kill as a result. Whoopsie.
Just making plays. Lil's just coming through. Dagon 3, Tiny, up in your face.
Yeah. You can't laugh that one off. I mean, this is working this game. To his credit for sure, the way he's been playing, the support Tiny is something we don't see a whole lot of.
Invisibility.
He is playing it well, so definitely credit to him. But I keep looking at this Arc Warden, who is now level 25, does get the lifesteal talent. Quick on that, without getting the 20 talent of the Spark Wraith, you'll lose a little bit of the value of the damage on top of that. So let's lean towards the lifesteal. Sure enough, does go there. And continues to be annoying with that Tempest double. But the Axe picked up on Centaur, as I noticed that last fight as well, and that's that damage mitigation now being applied to the team. So a helpful, yet another tool that's going to help out this Odium squad in terms of defense.
Yeah, they are looking pretty damn hard to teamfight into. It's going to take some really good Hex usage from this Arc Warden to initiate on and burst down key targets. Take advantage of the lack of save on this Dire side. And they do, in a small sense, with the Centaur Stampede, have some good damage block that can save people's lives. But outside of that, it's a bit trickier. No Ag Scepter on Phoenix, for example. Although I think that can be quite risky since the Radiant side have good ways to kill the egg. don't want to overly rely on this Phoenix Supernova, but he is level 3 ulti, so you can see here they are pushing, they are looking to go for a lane of Rax.
Swap chance here. Necropulse low jumps in, trying to scatter them if anything. Necropulse off in the air with the heals. He'll be fine. They end up killing Vengeful. And the backlines, he'll stick our coordinate. No buyback on Ace. 100 seconds. He's going to be dead for Undying Stain dead as well. He will just get enough for a buyback, it looks like, as Weaver does resurrect on top of that. But Odium, huge opening now. At least the tier 3, it feels like.
They just crushed that fight. The Swamp Hex play is a great way to initiate a fight, but you've got to burst the hero you go on, and Ox survives through it all, insta-heals himself, just had enough support that he didn't die through it all.
And Storm's going back in, baby. Fata, the time-lapse will actually save him right there.
Luckily for that time-lapse, that was mid-Reaper. That Reaper was about to delete him from the game for the foreseeable future.
He did not have a buyback, and that would have been 130 seconds or so, I want to say. Yeah.
It would have been
more.
At least Rax, maybe game over if he died to that Reaper. So great save coming in from the Weaver. 33's made some good plays with this Ag Scepter, but they are still somewhat feeling the effects. You've got this save coming in from a core role. Normally you think cores, they either need to offer some big team fight, some big like initiation impact like a Centaur does, or they need to be a scaling hero like a Weaver with damage items, a Mirana. Being just a save, you could get this out of a lot of other heroes. Heroes like Oracle and things from a support role. So I feel like just having an Ag Scepter is turning him into basically a one-spell Weaver right now.
Oh yeah, maybe throwing out that Swarm for some minus armor, I suppose, but outside of that, it really is just the time lapse is the big ability that they're looking for him to use. And again, he's had some big plays, but you're right, that's really it at this point, and not having much impact elsewhere. Instead, on the other side for Odium, everyone across the board definitely doing their part. Flow here on Centaur. Curious about the idea that, again, going to the Vanguard, I thought it might have transitioned into a Crimson Guard early on. Also, you see a pipe on this hero a lot, but he ended up going neither. You make a priority of the Lotus Orb, the Ags. Do you think that's an oversight of sorts? No Crimson, no pipe?
I think it's okay. It's not going to make a big enough difference against Arc Warden because he's so single target. And that's where items like Lotus are better against like the single target nature of things, like an Arc Warden who has Hex. The Flux can be reflected, can be purged off. So I feel like the Crimson Pipe don't work against this draft that well.
Okay.
There's not that much AoE magic damage. The Corpse Sonic Wave is pure damage. The Scream is all you're really looking at there. The Crimson Guard is okay against Arc Warden, but it's not like a must-buy item. There's not like summons everywhere. And against the Necro build, I think it's very good though.
Arc Warden, NIP finding themselves in the spot of just send out the Tempest Double and see where they're at.
And Odium's just going to keep farming that. 180 gold. They'll take that every single time.
Smoke play? No, they're just simply running out, actually.
Looks like they're just camping for next Roshan, which will be 1 minute 15 from now.
A medium spawn right there. He took it to the 25. By the way, middle lane bot, did he get caught? Yes, he did. Hang on, there's the BKB, as we talked about. The whole purpose of him getting it. Is this going to result in anything, though? The BKB wears off very quickly. It's down to 5 seconds. Over here, Lotus Orb for Necropulse actually turns stun on Asaxa because of that. And here we go yet again. The Reaper side, 120 seconds. See ya. 2 minutes. You're out of the game. 75 seconds dead for Undying. Flow running away from the Tempest Ult in the meantime, but kind of a split fight taking place. 3-3. Time lapse is not off cooldown. He just used it. And he goes down after the fact. Queen of Pain ends up buying back. They do kill Centaur with the Tempest Double, looks like. So at least something for NIP. But he'll just buy back anyways, expecting maybe a Roshan or perhaps pressure in the base again.
Maybe, or some bounty runes.
Okay.
He TP's in straight to grab some bounty runes. Only grabs one. Oh, what are you doing, Centaur? Come on, Flo. Get some money for the team. But yeah, they want to end this game, it looks like. Centaur's Stampede won't be up in 20 seconds, but I don't think that's a big problem.
These scythes, man. Or not the scythes, the Lotus Orbs. Even on top of the scythes. Yeah, it's multiple times I've seen the reaction to allow him to sheep himself.
Looking pretty grim for NIP. This is a gold deficit I don't really think they can come back from anymore. The Quap has been forced to go this super defensive A on this BKB, which sure, you saw in that fight why he goes this building. Allows him to make sure he gets BKB off, but it's like 7k gold of items to stay alive. And dude, I mean, you guarantee damage comes from your spells, but you're not getting additional damage out of your items.
Yeah, getting the BKB off right there, but it didn't really matter. Once again, Ace, the Tempest Double, taking as much as they can. Slayer just spamming that Sun Ray, it feels like.
Well, you actually get the rack. Okay, Storm's like, wait a second, we need this rack.
Yeah.
He BKBs for it, that's fine. down to a 6-second BKB now, so the duration hit will be noticeable for him. But it's ultimately, if they walked away without getting that melee Rex, that would be pretty poor for them.
Yeah, again, it's not the most necessary BKB game either, as we talked about. It's not like he's dealing with a massive amount of crowd control on the other side, so.
Yeah, just dodge a Venge Stun, get out of an Orchid, it pays for itself there.
Yeah. 22 charges on that Bloodstone, that feels pretty good. 5,800 gold saved up on Storm.
He's got Dagon queued up as well. I love it.
These are squishy heroes. Outside of Undyne, they really are squishy heroes on the Radiant side.
Maybe see him even get rid of his Yules or Kaya soon to get this last item. Dagon 5, yeah. I think they're just having some fun clowning around a bit. We kind of asked, how good is Odium going to be? How serious are they going to be playing? I think this is serious, but they're also, having some fun going Dagon 5s and whatnot.
How about this, though? Roshan, they're trying to sneak it. That's not going to work. No, Star Spirit just flies on through. And you see his level 25.
Arcane Rune Storm, good luck taking this fight. NIP.
Centaur jumping in, pops the Aeon Disc off the bat. Reaper's Scythe is not going to be the kill initially, but eventually gets it. Weaver's dead, so is Vengeful. This is looking atrocious for NIP. In fact, 4 are dead with no buyback.
Oh, they killed Storm.
Okay. They did kill Storm in that, yeah.
Pulled into the double Arc Warden, which is a lot of right-click damage when there's 2 Arc Wardens inside the bubble. Storm's back very fast, so yeah, the Bloodstone. We'll see if he gets a Boots of Travel or anything. He may just TP to Shrine and be happy with that.
We go top lane, it looks like. It's just Arc Warden right now for the next 20 seconds or so.
Yep. Storm's going to just fall in from far.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Be back to join this push, which will be at least a second lane of practice, potentially more.
Is just winning a BKB to this that he just got recently. Gonna do some damage, get the kill on Centaur maybe? No, it's not even gonna be a kill. And now having to stand his ground some way, somehow. The lifesteal's kicking in. It's not gonna be enough though. He does die, he buys back, but you're right, Star Spirit had to fly out very quickly. Almost died.
The Storm thinks about Dota the way I would approach that. Like, okay, he puts the bubble, let's ball in so I can kill him. Oh wait, he does 10 times more damage than me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't expect him to melt there, and the Storm didn't. He's completely underestimating this Arc Warden right-click damage with Daedalus and with the attack speed in the bubble. Even if he doesn't have the evasion, he just destroys people. MKB Daedalus. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, the Mjolnir on top of that. He does do a lot of damage, which continues to be the very slight saving grace now for NIP. I mean, they're down 26,000 net worth, so this is getting pretty favorable for Odium, to say the least.
They saved their Rex, though. Arc Warden somehow kept that top Rex alive. I think that's because they overcommit going for the kill. They should have just been happy zoning him out and focusing down the Rex, even if he gets a kill in the process. But Storm now is an Aegis. I think he needs to look at those fights and probably get an armor item next, like a Shiva's Guard or an AC, just because he is melting to the right-click damage.
He's like a 25 on Centaur. He gets the Gains Return aura.
I think he's thinking about countering the Arc Warden a bit better, although Hookstomp duration is pretty damn good itself.
Yeah.
He's got a Refresher queued up, which is going to give them more duration of damage block.
God, Queen of Pain's almost there.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice one. She's going to make a detour top lane to get to level 25, it looks like. There we go. Gets 25 out top, so they have the fear.
Trying to make the smoke play here of sorts. At the top, double damage room, but that's going to be picked up by Storm as he flies away with it.
He knows something's going on. Everyone's missing. Radiant's scanning. Dire's bowling in to get runes and instantly bowling out on the Storm. They don't feel safe on the Odium side, and they know NIP is up to something right now, which at this point NIP have to realize they're not going to get kills. Just push out some lanes and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're desperate. Again, down 29,000. In net worth overall, and you take away Arc Warden especially, it's pretty absurd how far down they are. It is the Arc Warden show for NIP, and can only carry so much. In his case, he's trying to keep the lanes pushed in, but pushed out even. Odium, they're now finding the way at the bottom. Again, somehow 2 sets of racks still do stand for NIP. But you see this Aegis on Storm Spirit, double damage bottled up. He's still sitting on 7,200 gold now, so maybe that Dagon's going to eventually come out or something else, but figure he'll get something before another fight breaks out.
Will's just trolling the world with this axe that he has queued up.
I had to do double tap. Like, wait, does?
Yeah.
did they give one to him? I
No,
forgot.
the old Tiny axe was, you know, it was like you had to get this axe so you could become a right clicker and get your cleave damage. But new Tiny has the old axe built into his grow.
It's pretty good.
Sorry, not his grow, his tree grab.
Tree grab, yeah. It's a basic ability.
Yeah.
Here you go.
So he will not be purchasing Ag Scepter unless he wants to meme me.
That would be a little bit of a BM move, and I wouldn't mind it. I mean, I'm all for subtle things like that, like the tipping and stuff.
He might do it if they get like mega creeps, but right now this game not over, and I don't imagine we'll see it. If he does, then his team really just is happy to not care about this game. Is all I can say.
Storm Force, double damage.
See how his dedication is to the team. Mid lane Ace just going around hunting. Don't think he'll kill Oxy. Gosh, Ox got the harder Terras just so he has enough health to survive these combos. I like it better than the Aeon Disc because it doesn't have a cooldown. You just always have this health, and as long as you survive the combo, you heal up from the heart regen. Aeon Disc, if you get caught without it, then yeah, you're very killable.
The world of Arc Warden. When his team gets behind like this, he will delay games.
Issue is he's 6-slotted, so he's not getting any scarier at this point. I guess you could slot in like a Divine Rapier at some point for something like the MKB.
Still I'm thinking about it. Maybe like a Refresher even. Those in there, but yeah, still hanging in there. They do have 2 sets of racks. Again, another Lotus Orb Reflection. As Low will jump in, catches Undying. Throws him in, the Reaper's Scythe cuts him down. He buys back immediately though.
Double Tombstone, they're just going to disengage. It's so obnoxious that he even has to stampede out.
The game's feeling the lag, man. Too many zombies.
Tombstone's late game, once you start getting this Tombstone on death, is pretty tricky to deal with.
Yeah.
The 8 attacks to a destroy if you don't have a good right clicker, and even when you have an okay right clicker, that Storm, for example, doesn't want to just commit like 5 seconds of a T5 to right click a tomb. He needs to be bursting people during his BKB. So he's going to be ignoring the Tombstone.
You got Ace committing a BKB for this, going after Necro. Necro's melting again. He definitely does damage, we know this. Showing up once again right there. Necro does fight back. You see Naive just zipping around though, has that BKB committed. There's a boost of travel in from Ox as he fought back, and they end up finishing off.
They're all going to die here.
Warden. Are they?
Well, Nave has an Aegis, but Ox may die again. I guess they've lost Arc Warden.
They lost Arc. That's a lot of their damage. Oh, the reflection again. This Lotus Orb.
Yeah, I think that's the end. They can't really kill the Storm a second time.
Okay.
If Arc Warden was still alive, that is an absolute cleanup for NIP. They still managed to hold into Aegis and Cheese. Very impressive stuff. The Centaur didn't have Refresher for the fight, I want to say. He has it in his inventory now. Maybe just didn't.
Yeah, I don't think
available.
he had it. I don't think so.
That could have made a bit of a difference, but yeah, what a crazy fight. And NIP somehow make a hold happen. They don't have buyback on Arc Warden for a couple of minutes, but around when he respawns, they'll have his buyback, so game's still looking very winnable for NIP just because they're only down 1 full lane of racks. That makes a big difference as far as the pressure coming into your base.
Especially if you, with the Arc Warden, if he happens to be alive when 2 or 3 are possibly dead on the side of Odium, then that's easily a set of racks, if not more, that he can push with. So yeah, I saw notice Queen of Pain too did quite a bit of damage to the Centaur in that last fight.
Oh yeah.
Must have just been focus firing him throughout all of it, or most, but I suppose Arc Warden was a big chunk now that I'm really looking at the death recap for him. 4,800 damage done by Arc Warden, so it was really Arc Warden, but what I mean there. Necrophos? Oh no, again, it doesn't reflect on Queen of Pain, gets sides himself. Alright, I suppose that was just a side from them. Never mind. Either way. Gets out.
Get out, okay, yep. This is starting to look pretty scary with completed Bloodthorn now, so his right-click damage is going to start adding up. Has another item slots to grow as well, so see more farm coming his way. And what's Arc Warden doing? Arc Warden's going to upgrade to the Silver Edge. Not a crazy changer upgrade for him. You can break the return, but mostly just, he's 6-slotted. What do? He wants to keep his Shadow Blade. May as well upgrade it for some stats even. And the lower cooldown, of course, as well. So,
God, Phoenix flying down here with that haste turn.
Yeah, how's Phoenix doing? Level 25 is pretty nice on Phoenix for the hit count. I imagine will be the case. Has 2.6k gold. Could consider the Ag Scepter as a save against this swap Hex initiation. If someone like Necro is getting swap Hex and dying, it may be an answer, but it also may just get yourself and the Necro killed anyway. Although it's a scenario where if he's going to die and you get him killed in an Egg, well, it's like he was going to die anyway, so you may as well. The issue is that lineup doesn't protect Egg. If they had a great lineup with like a Treant and other stuns to keep an Egg alive, then it starts looking really good. But this game, it's just a lack of control around the Supernova.
So Fata, his Aeon Disc is procced right there. Still a 90-second cooldown. I think Odium saw he got Glimmer caped at the same time, so I'm not 100% sure, but either way.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of an opening for Odium to feel a little more comfortable.
Yeah. These Aeon Disc cooldowns can be pretty important in these late game scenarios. Make a difference between a good or a bad call to jump on a hero. You go NIP though, they're smoked up.
And right now, Necrophos is not with him. Necrophos does have bots level 2, I believe. Yeah, he did use him in the last fight. Slayer. Oh, they're going to catch Slayer. Swap in. It goes the other way with the Stampede. That's going to help. Does he get away? Don't tell me he gets away. He's going to go for the Supernova even. And he actually escapes.
Middle tower
He's just
under
bumped his
attack.
BKB.
That was a bit.
That was a misclick.
That was a fairly new one too, I believe.
Yeah, and he put it in his backpack, so he was swapping stuff around. He accidentally clicked it.
Oh, it's 7 seconds actually.
That's a little unfortunate.
Yep. A little unfortunate, not the end of the world. Don't imagine they'll fight. The problem is it's in his backpack, so it takes a lot longer to come off cooldown.
True. I feel like players forget that sometimes. I really do.
Yeah.
'Cause I'll see stuff like this or like a TP even just sitting in their backpack, and it makes it that much longer, and you realize later on when it's too late.
It's like one of those efficiency in their head. It's like this pseudo efficiency thing where it's like, well, it's on cooldown, so I shouldn't have it in my inventory. But at the same time, you're almost better off not having like your MKB damage, so it can come off cooldown faster.
Exactly.
Like, do you really need your MKB in your inventory for farming neutrals at this point when you're this farmed? Probably not. But
God, they're clumped, and they're seen this whole time by the Dire side. You see the Dire Ward right here spotting them. I think that they realize that. They're going to go for the swap in. We saw what happened last time. This time, it's a kill, though. That's a gem drop as well.
Yep. And then you have scenarios like that, and that's why, you maybe do want to have your MKB there and save your BKB, because having that more damage, and if BKB's in your inventory, it's not going to help make a play. So
True.
There's always, pros and cons to all these small little decisions. He obviously, I'm sure Ace does know the nature of this BKB and is choosing just to keep it there and play without it for longer. He was keeping it in his backpack even like during the farming phases. So I think he's going to put it in if and when there's a high ground push coming. Like if Odium get Aegis cheese and start pushing high ground, yeah, he'll grab his BKB.
Another 6,000 gold saved up on Arcward, and even he still needs to finish that Silver Edge. I believe he'd have more than enough. Actually, no, he just got enough.
Yeah, just has enough for that, plus the buyback. Late game, when you're 6-slotted, buybacks cost a lot.
That's going to be 4,000 gold for a buyback.
Yeah. That's
oh boy,
pretty high cost with the gold loss. So, how are we looking? Lil is tiny, playing 4 position with the Dagon 5, has an Aeon Disc next queued up, so.
Here, who do they find? That's Necrophos. However, Arc Warden, that's the Tempest Double. Also drop in, throws down that magnetic field and scare them off.
Ace is so good at placing these kinetic fields, like when he's making plays like that. Just like puts it so that his hero is right on the edge, and getting inside it's really difficult. Like most Arc Warden plays, you're going to watch it just going to plop that bubble right on top of themselves and not really give a care for how it's positioned on them, but Ace is very mindful of exactly where his hero stands inside it.
When I scan by the Dire right here, they do catch a couple.
Yeah, they kind of know these bounty runes coming up are going to be something that NIP may actually make a move for, because it's a way to either set up a team fight, or if there's no team fight, just grab yourself some gold. So it comes from it.
Smoked up, they
Top
were out of
lane,
vision.
Storm Queen Hex. Is he going to die? Oh, not quite. Very close. That was just the Tempest double.
Yeah. It never ceases to amaze me. Roshan's up.
And NIP, they know how low they got the Storm, so I think they actually feel confident to fight, because Naive has a Shrine, but Shrines at this stage of the game don't heal that much, so they kind of know this Storm has to go back to Fountain almost to heal up or get some Earth charges. And Roche just got picked up.
Good thing no one tried to steal anything, because they were on the ground for 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But
I think it was like, who's grabbing this Aegis?
Yeah.
Or one's like, I'm 6-slotted, do I really need it? But
Radiant's
he
middle tower
may as
is
well.
under attack.
bots.
Yeah, no bots, no BKB. He can slot his BKB into his Aegis.
The triple toss eventually kills him. But he drops that tombstone as a result, so yeah, that's scary if you're the Dire team. Don't overcommit into that. It was just Lil, though, really, and he gets a kill and he gets out.
I think Lil's having some fun this game.
That was fun.
Every day you get to play Dagon 5 Tiny.
That is the fake one. I thought for a second that was a real one. I was a little worried there for their sake.
Kind of, the nice thing about the Tempest double with the gold bounty is once you're 60 minutes, you don't really care about giving away 180 gold. In the first 20-30 minutes, losing a Tempest double, you're like, man, 180 gold, that's a lot. But
True.
we're well past that point where 180 gold matters. So he can just suicide his Tempest doubles to maybe get a kill. He could feed 10, and if only one of those 10s gets a kill, it's worth it. So because death timers and buybacks matter way more than anything else.
Yeah. You look at the whole win chance.
That got
Talk about it was up to 99%. I remember seeing it at that point. And we're up to 28% now for NIP. So from 1 to 28,
it felt like it was a 5%-ish chance to me at that point.
Damage.
But it was when that was probably when it was that 5v1 push, and Arc Warden solo defended top lane of Rex.
True.
Which was, I think, to be totally critical, partly Odium's fault for not just focusing some buildings. They went all in and tried to dive for some kills, but
it's one of those you like think the game's over anyways. Let's just have fun with it. The overtime phase, as I like to call it. But
I actually personally thought they might GG there. Like that's how dire it looked. But Ace is just such an amazing reward player that he's able to hold, make some sick plays, and keep them in the game. 62 minutes in, no GG in sight right now.
It's just another Arc Warden game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Feels like
that's
in
what the show does.
some ways we're on even footing. Like one lane of Rax at 60+ minutes is pretty insignificant, but it's still dire side with full control of the map.
Queen of Pain's the one that gets the refresher shard, by the way. So double Sonic Wave, you know, double Bloodthorn even. Double Scream of Pain. Does have this the fear effect on that now too. Granted, not the longest cooldown, so. Could come into play though. Storm, Arcane Rune active. NIP pushing out again. They spot Flow. Not the easiest target to take down though. They're spread on the side of Odium quite a bit. Ox, he's kind of just runs in blindly. Lotus Orb Reflect though. Does get feared initially. You see the Aeon Disc can be procced on a tiny. NFP Ace. Arc Warden in the midst of his bubble. Here the Reaper Scythe going up, doesn't get the kill. Nobody dead so far, but Ace is dropping quickly. There's the Aegis use. Odium committing a fair amount though for that. Supernova will eventually stun. You see the zombie horde, however, running them down 3-3. With that Jikuchi movement speed, he's going to go in. He has a time left. They get the swap in. Who do they catch right there? Looks like it needs a Stampede trying to save Necrophos that target. They mitigate the damage again with the Stampede. Ace putting right clicks into somebody right there. They get the kill the Centaur. And you can just tell Odium's scattered, man.
Oh, great swap. They got the Storm.
Yeah, they killed. No, Storm's not dead just yet. The Magic Missile will connect, though. They lose Benchfelt, but they get the kill on Storm. Wow. Very worth it. They also take out Phoenix.
What a play from the Venge, getting that long-range swap to bring the Storm back in. He then bowls away, but Venge is there with a stun and the Ag Scepter, so he dies and suddenly has his clone coming into play. And somehow, NIP have put together a hell of a team fight. It's, again, Ace, and his right-click damage is just...
It's that, but it's the support around him, too. They're doing a great job of keeping him alive, and you can tell Odium wants to almost focus fire him, but anytime they get close, they take intense damage, as well as then the crowd control / the soul rip peels, I'm sure, are happening, etc. So, there's a time lapse right there just to heal him up a little bit. Even, this is, at least, are they just going for the win?
That's the call. PPD's hitting tier 4s.
Yeah.
See what the rest of the team want to do. Yeah, Ace is on it as well. They're going to force the Necro buyback.
But without Phoenix, it's also 5 versus 4. There's
Swap
a swap
again.
in. Necro, he's going to die for that. It's going to be tieback. Lotus Sword will barely keep
survives.
him alive. The Stampede as well. You see Naive trying to find his target. They already got Queen of Pain. Now they're going for the Dark Ward. And once again, that Soul Repeal coming into play as mentioned. But Ace does drop. He's dead for 100. He is not buying back so far. Queen of Pain did buy back, by the way.
He's illusions
back
owning
in.
himself.
Yeah, the Tempest double is still doing some good damage. And Arc Warden himself has actually bought back now.
I think they feel like they can GG it. Yeah, Ace is teeping in. They know they just bought back on Odium, and that all it's going to take is one more swap hex, and they can just win this game.
And no Stampede. No double Stampede for that matter. That has been a very powerful tool for
That's
Odium
how
this game.
anyone getting swap hex can stay alive is the Stampede, because you can suddenly have movement speed while you're hex, and you have the damage block. But without it, I think swap hex is just GG to whoever gets hexed in.
NIP making the comeback here against Odium. They're still down 22,000 overall net worth, but that essentially means nothing at this point.
Still playing very cautiously about going for the tier 4.
Of course, yeah. The last thing you want to do is actually throw this comeback. There's a swap. They pop the Aeon Disc on an Necro both. The Lotus Orb reflecting magic miss. So he's staying alive. Reaper's on make kill Vengeful. But again, Ox getting low. However, Undying does go down as well. He buys back, dropping that Tombstone though. So the Sets did his job in the back lines. You see they pick off Tiny. Went in. Fanta throws out the Sonic Wave. Don't know if it really hit though. Naive with the BKB. They want Weaver dead. They might get him. No, time lapse in 1 more second. He's going to be able to use it at the last second. No, he doesn't need to. Ichikuchi's away. Ace is getting tossed in the air. Ace does die.
He's dead for ages.
2 minutes himself.
They're all dead for ages.
Yeah, what happened actually? I thought Weaver was going to be the distraction. He kind of was, but Ace also got focus fired apparently.
The Tiny with the double, he got a double toss with the Dagon 5. Lil once again coming in big with these late game damage plays. His damage output this game is going to be crazy for a support Tiny. And that's just, everyone's dead for 2 minutes. A Weaver Undying, these heroes can't defend, I don't think.
Yeah, that really was. Looking at the death recap on our court, and a lot of that, half of the damage was from Tiny, the other half from Storm Spirit, essentially, in that fight. So, again, Lil managing to come through just when you think it's NIP completing the comeback. Not so much as Odium. And, I mean, yeah, you're right, with just a Weaver and Undying, but are they really pushing fast enough is the question.
That's a little bit slow. Storm's going to DD, though.
Oh,
That'll
boy.
quickly change things. Doesn't have the best mana pool right now, but he's regenning pretty quickly. And
Any kind of a buyback? No.
60
Nothing.
seconds is such a long time. Like, yeah, they're not pushing quickly, but you've got a huge window where they can go for Throne. There's a glyph, so that'll delay things by a further 5 seconds. But actually, no, sorry, there's no glyph. That's the scan that's up, not the glyph.
Yeah. They do not have one.
They might just throw them here. I don't think they can defend.
I think it's it, yeah. Weaver and Undying is not seeming like the duo that's going to be able to stop this Deathfall push. Although we kind of thought the similar thing at the other way, to be fair, so we'll see. But the Ancient's dropping quickly. Weaver is like, fight me, please. No, they're not going to. They're going to kill the Ancient. And it looks like that is going to do it. GG, well played. Odium takes game number 1. Holy crap, did it look like for a second there NIP was going to complete the comeback down 99% to 1% at that point. But in the end, it is Odium that takes it. And that was a well-deserved victory, it really was.
That was such a close, tense game at the very end when all those buybacks came in. The reason that the Arc 1, NIP could have just backed off and not used the buybacks there and played it cool and safe, but they went for the aggressive, we want to win this game, we know you guys just used buybacks. I think it was the right call. I think ultimately they got outplayed in that last team fight. The Weaver was getting focus, which is a problem because that meant there was no time lapse. Once the time lapse got removed from the fight, suddenly they didn't have ways to actually, save the Arc Warden. Keeping him alive was just such a key part of their game plan.
What a game right there. Ace on Arc Warden. He's fantastic with that hero, but still not enough. Even with a decent start from the Radiant squad, it's more so Fata specifically. Really good. Again, credit to Odium, though, with their item choices specifically. It's something that, obviously plenty of games we talk about, but that really was a great example of a game. Sometimes you just have to react. You can't go into a game with a specific mindset of what items you're going to go for.
I like all you get the new stats, too. You can see the damage received. 130k damage dealt to Ace's Arc Warden. Oh, wow. Necro took 110k damage. I'm always unsure whether is damage received. Do you want that to be high or low? Like, isn't
That's
it?
a good point.
It's like it sounds good to take a lot of damage if you have low deaths, and to obviously some heroes like Necro.
Like Necro, yeah.
Yeah, taking damage as a Necro is to me a good
48% damage reduced on Necro of the 110,000. Like nearly half that damage was reduced.
I'd say the number that stands out is Tiny's damage output. 41k hero damage from a support Tiny. Even if it's a core Tiny, I'd say that's a lot, just because he's not like a Storm that's just going to get all this damage very easily with his mobility.
Yeah.
He does more than the Fata Queen of Pain. He had a fantastic showing.
That was fun, man. Odium taking the first game over NIP. Again, it's definitely a series going into this. I'm not going to lie. I definitely thought the NIP, this is going to be all them, especially with the Odium roster troubles. But no. Odium taking the first game. It is a best out of 3. We'll see if they can complete things here going in to game number 2, or will NIP force that third and final game? I'm BreakyCPK, joined by GoDz. Stay tuned, guys. The GG.Bet Invitational coming at you. We got game number